for the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time. There's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
WBSM presents The Tim Weisberg Show, streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Send us app chat messages and open line voicemails using the WBSM app. Now, The Tim Weisberg Show.
Welcome back in hour number 2 of the program here on Monday morning. It is March 4th, and we are marching forth towards spring, getting closer. When you woke up this morning, was the sun already peeking out? Or I guess I shouldn't say the sun peeking out because it's overcast out there, but at least the sky was getting lighter. When I walked out, I was like, oh, next week, when we spring forward, that'll be on Sunday. When we spring forward next week, that means that a week from today, if you get up with me in the morning, we're going to be walking outside to daylight. So that's good, right? That's nice. That's a positive. We're going to have mild temperatures this week. We're actually going to be pushing into the 50s some days. I guess yesterday was really nice. I didn't go outside much. I was working on that old Rochester girls basketball story that you can read at WBSM.com and the WBSM app about the official that passed away. I was working on that and some other things. And then by the time I got everything done, I was like, well, I'm going to go take the trash out. Maybe spend a little time outside. By the time I brought that out, it was already dark out, so... Springing forward is coming next week. If you didn't hear about that story, again, you can read about it at WBSM.com and on the app, but it was Friday night's state tournament game between Old Rochester and Watertown in Watertown. And an official in the final seconds of the game was making a call, collapsed in the court from an apparent heart attack. They cleared out the gym. They were able to revive him, but then he suffered another heart attack on his way to the hospital and passed away. So students who need counseling today, it will be available for them at Old Rochester High School. Because it's a pretty traumatic thing to witness. But I think hearing the tributes that have poured in for Don McGillicuddy, you know, it's a loss that will be felt across the Massachusetts basketball community, not just the two teams that were playing in that game. You heard Phil mention the news, and in the story, there are quotes from Joel Waters, who is a longtime local basketball referee, and also he is the commissioner of the southeastern portion of the state. So he's the one who schedules the officials. And he told me he wishes that he had 10 Don McGillicuddies. And by the way, Joel is an amazing guy in his own right. He was a star basketball player at Wareham High back in the late 90s. Late 90s, early 2000s, I believe. He has gone on to become a Marion firefighter. Great family guy. His whole family, wonderful people. I've known them for years and years and years. And he cares passionately about high school basketball. And if Joel says that Don McGillicuddy was one of the best, I believe him. It's not just lip service because someone passed away. So you can read more about that at WBSM.com and on the app. You can also read more about yesterday's fire on Weld Street. 11 people displaced. 2 people sent to the hospital. But thankfully, everybody okay. That fire remains under investigation, but as we know, a lot of times this time of year, it's usually heat-related. Somebody a problem with the heating system, somebody using a space heater, something along those lines. But as I said yesterday, 58 degrees. I don't know that it was that. And I don't know anything because they haven't said what it was, but I'm just speculating. But I'm sure for a lot of firefighters, that's a good feeling as we turn the corner, at least away from the time when people are plugging in too many space heaters and overheating the system and leaving those things plugged in and all those problems. 508-996-0500. Good morning. You're on WBSM.
Good morning, Mr. Weisberg.
Good morning.
I happened to hear one of the callers saying something about Biden stumbling, and then you said, Trump too. Mm-hmm. Well, do you have a video of that? Because I must have missed him stumbling somewhere.
There's been all kinds of videos about different missteps. The other day when he didn't remember his wife's name and when he was confusing Obama for Biden. And, there's been a number of different videos that have popped up about that.
Really? My man Trump?
Yeah, he actually put out a video last week trying to explain away what was happening. He actually tried to say, I was making a joke when I said Obama. And that's what led me to say, well, if you have to explain a joke, it's not a joke.
Well, if that's happening, he's still not as bad as Biden, though.
Well, and that's what people have to decide. How do you feel about it? If you have to choose between two people who are, you're worried about their cognitive health, you have to make the decision about which one are you least concerned about.
I feel Biden belongs in a nursing home, and I don't think Donald Trump is that far off that he needs to go to a nursing home.
So those who have been following this with Trump, and I'm not speaking about the people who are just trying to bury him here. I'm talking about the people who are kind of looking at this with just a bit of an editorial eye. They're noticing that as we've said, people think that this has been something that's been happening with Joe Biden for years, but they're saying it's a steep drop-off for Donald Trump. So that in some people's eyes, and again, none of these folks are doctors, but in some people's eyes, that's more concerning because it seems like it's a sharper drop-off in such a shorter period of time. But that could also just be, he's out there on the road more doing, campaigning, and he's probably more tired than he's been in a while, and that can take a toll on you.
Well, I still think he's got a good 4 years of presidency in him. I think he could do it. Well, let's get off of him because you only get 3 minutes. I saw your video on the spooks, The thing is, I didn't get a notification saying you were going to do that live. I didn't get no notification also. I missed it, and I had to watch it, later. It was still okay. It was great. On my end, it came out really dark. Was it really that dark over there? Because all I saw was those lights.
Yeah, I didn't turn on any extra lights so that you could see the flashlight coming on and in case one of the cat balls went off.
Did you send a little notice beforehand?
I just popped on the live. I figured I only had a few minutes, so I just jumped on and did it. I actually tried to do a video. I did one on Facebook, I did one on Instagram, and then I did one on TikTok, just trying to see if anything happened. We probably got the best interaction on the video that we put on TikTok, and I'll probably upload that to Facebook later on this week.
No, it's pretty good. I must have been asleep for 100 years because where was that place? I've never even heard of it. Imagine that.
That's the Oliver Estate in Middleborough. It's a great place to go and visit if you're interested in history. It's a place that Ben Franklin actually visited, and
yes, I heard you say that. Yeah,
that's that family, the Oliver family, were very important in the early colonial days of Massachusetts. So they're historical figures unto themselves, and that was actually the Oliver Estate itself was across the street, the big estate that Judge Oliver lived in, and now it's the Oliver Mill property. But this house that he built across the way was for his son and his son's wife to stay in when they came to stay with him, and so this was like the guest house type situation, and now it's just a beautiful old historical building that's been renovated and well worth checking out. They do all kinds of events there too. It's not just ghost stuff. I
am going to go and read about that now that you said that. Mr. Weisberg, I wish you could go to a mausoleum. Have you done that yet? Because where else are you going to find all kinds of spooks all in the same place? Bring your spirit box and all that. What did you bring to that house? You brought the spirit box and all that stuff?
I didn't bring a lot with me because it was more, the event was more about Stephanie Burke and her table tipping seance that she does. But I brought, the little K2 meter and some of the cat balls and the flashlights, and I had my Mel meter, and I did have, the program that I use. I don't use a spirit box per se, but I use an app called EchoVox. I brought that, and I was using that a little bit, but we weren't really getting too much through that.
Yeah. But New Bedford, around here, we don't have no big, giant mausoleums like I go look at on the internet, where you can walk in and, it's real, and they're beautiful in there, too.
Yeah, most of the ones we have around here are locked all the time.
Yeah. No columbarium. Those are nice, too, where you can look through the glass and see the urn with all the ashes and pictures. I'd like to go in live to one of those columbariums and just look around.
I try to avoid investigating at cemeteries these days. Because not only is it like, I look at it from this perspective too. Like if you died, where would you want to be? You wouldn't want to hang around in the cemetery. You'd want to go back to a place that you loved. And then the other part of it too is, there's been a change in what people consider to be respectful and not respectful in the paranormal. And sometimes people feel like, going to the cemetery is disrespectful. But that being said, I've gone to some local cemeteries and had a lot of activity, especially I would go to Burial Hill in Plymouth. And I was once at William Bradford's grave, and I got some pretty interesting interactions there that, was enough for me to put it up on the internet and say, maybe this is something.
So when you went to that Lizzie's coffee place, are you going to go back there? Because I must have missed something more. I didn't see anything more than what you were down there. Not very long, right?
We were down there for about 3 hours, but we have short clips of what we did because there's a lot of just sitting around and nothing's happening. Although on that particular day, we didn't really have a lot of that. But Amanda's been editing the videos and uploading them in small chunks because that's for a lot of people that's easier to consume than watching the whole long thing for 20 minutes. Plus
that's great.
Plus it takes forever to upload a 20-minute video.
It's interesting, very interesting. Well, thanks for that. And, have a good day now.
You as well.
And let's not think that Trump is debilitated now because he's got a long way to go yet compared to Biden. So he's still getting my vote. Well,
I'm more worried about how they're both doing in November. I don't care about who's having what issues now. Let's see what happens when we get to November.
I won't ask you if you're voting for any female. I won't ask you because it's your business. But I know you don't like Trump, so I can make an educated guess who you're voting for. Shame, shame, shame. Have a great day now.
All right, you as well. And
bye-bye.
508-996-0500. I don't have any problem saying it. Tomorrow when I go into the voting booth, which was a whole thing, I tried to early vote, but things got screwed up at the RMV. Thanks a lot. But when I go to vote tomorrow, I'm going to pull the Republican ballot, and I'm going to vote for Nikki Haley to try to keep her around a little bit longer. Because I don't want the chaos that will ensue if something does happen. If Donald Trump isn't going to run for president. And then there's a scramble to get somebody else out there. If that ends up being the case. I'd want somebody that's been around and staying in the race. So, yeah, that would be my decision tomorrow. And that's my rationale behind it, to make it a more interesting race. And if she somehow stays strong in this and maybe, and again, this is all just wishful thinking, it's not going to happen, but got to the point where she had enough of a showing that maybe there's the need to have some Donald Trump, Nikki Haley debates. You know, I just think anything that keeps it more interesting than having our two candidates already selected in March. Because we're just going to get overrun with the same rhetoric. And nobody's going to really be pushing forward the conversation. So, and again, if you're a Donald Trump supporter, if you're a Donald Trump voter, don't call up and get mad at me for saying that, because you and I both know it doesn't make a difference. Right? You and I both know who's going to be there in November. So what do you care? (508-996-0500). I'm going to take a break here. We'll be back in a few moments. Welcome back in. 508-996-0500. You can also send in app chat messages and open line voicemails on the WBSM app. It is brought to you by our friends at South Coast Towing. They're the ones that make it free so that we can keep having all these great features on the app, like app chat, like open line. Also, all the contesting that we will do, all of the breaking news alerts, the streaming audio, the podcasts, live traffic and weather. It's all there for you, and it's all easy to download from wherever you get your apps from. And if you can't find it on your app store, you can get it by going to WBSM.com, clicking on the Listen tab, and typing in your email address, and it'll send it right to your email on your phone. So it couldn't be any easier. So as you're heading out and probably upgrading your device, I got to upgrade mine soon. Storage is full. But as you upgrade your device, and if you never got the app because you didn't have enough room, or you didn't have a new enough device, or whatever it may be, it's the perfect time to download the WBSM app, free from our friends at South Coast Towing. Now it is time to go into the newsroom and get all of the headlines of the day with Phil Devitt.
Nikki Haley makes history, but is it enough to stay in the race? President Biden prepares for the State of the Union and a big weekend at the box office.
From the WBSM Newsroom, this is WBSM News.
Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley has picked up her first win of the 2024 primary season in Washington, D.C. The former South Carolina governor garnered nearly 63% of the vote and on Sunday became the first woman to win a Republican primary in U.S. history. Vice President Kamala Harris will meet with Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz at the White House today, a day after she called for an immediate ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war in the Gaza Strip. A White House official said Harris will reiterate that civilian casualties must be reduced. The Supreme Court is expected to release at least one major decision today. The ruling may be the case of former President Trump's eligibility for Colorado's presidential primary ballot. The opinion or opinions will be posted online at 10 a.m. This comes after the Colorado Republican Party asked the High Court to act before Super Tuesday primaries this week. President Biden will deliver his State of the Union address Thursday. He'll play up the work his administration has done on things such as infrastructure. As Mark Mayfield reports a preview of the speech says the president will outline how he's making the wealthy pay their fair share.
He'll also push other policies that could pick up support from both sides of the aisle, like helping veterans and fighting cancer. Guests at the event before both houses of Congress will include family members of hostages being held by the Palestinian militant group Hamas, with more than a dozen invited by members from both parties. I'm Mark Mayfield.
NASA and SpaceX are marking the successful launch of the Crew 8 mission to the International Space Station. Unfavorable conditions prompted officials to scrub Saturday's scheduled launch attempt on Florida's Space Coast. The SpaceX Crew Dragon Endeavour atop a Falcon 9 booster took off from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center Sunday night. The mission is a first for 3 out of the 4 members of Crew 8. Award-winning ESPN journalist Chris Mortensen has died at the age of 72. Mortensen's family made the announcement that he died Sunday morning. He was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2016. And Dune Part 2 is providing a massive jolt to the box office. The sequel made $81.5 million in its debut weekend in North American theaters. Bob Marley, One Love came in second place with $7.4 million and has been a surprise success, making over $82 million domestically so far.
WBSM Sports, brought to you by Sparks Auto in Dartmouth.
The Celtics beat the Golden State Warriors Sunday. That's 11 straight wins for Boston, going for a 12th Tuesday when they visit the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Bruins are away to play the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, and the Red Sox play the Detroit Tigers in spring training this afternoon.
Now, your ABC6 South Coast forecast.
Starting out this work week with gray skies. This morning in the mid-40s with mostly cloudy skies as well as into the afternoon. Fog will develop, however, that could impact our evening commute. Temperatures in the upper 40s overnight tonight. Slight chance of rain. Partial fog once again. And the temperatures around 40 tomorrow. Rain and fog. Temperatures around 50. Be sure to watch ABC6 for my full 7-day forecast. From the ABC6 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ceci Del Carmen on New Bedford's News Talk Station 1420 WBSM.
I'm Phil Devitt for WBSM News. Stay up to date with New Bedford's News Talk Station WBSM and get all of our content and breaking news alerts with the WBSM app.
And welcome back in 508-996-0500. You can also send an app chat messages and open line voicemails on the WBSM app. And thanks to Southeastern Mass Alerts, Southern Mass Alerts. I'll get it right one of these days, I promise. At Metro_notify on Twitter, though. I know that part. Or I guess on X. At Metro_notify, but always has all the latest stuff happening. And right now, reporting that crews were on the scene of a vehicle fire inside the St. Luke's Hospital parking garage, but the fire is now out. So anybody that's over in that area was wondering what was going on at St. Luke's. There was a car fire in the parking garage, but it is now out. So good news there. Speaking of the news, there's a story out today, and there's going to be a press conference and all kinds of things going on at the U.S. District Court in Boston today because Jack Teixeira, however, we're going to say Teixeira here, right? He's from Dighton. It's probably Teixeira. But Jack Teixeira is changing his plea. Now, if you don't remember, he is the Massachusetts Air National Guardsman accused of leaking classified military documents online. When it first happened, it sounded like he was, some kind of a spy or whistleblower or something going on We thought this was like Edward Snowden Part 2, and it's not. It's just a wannabe tough guy in a Discord chat room trying to impress his online friends by sharing the documents that he had access to because of his job in the Air National Guard, working as a cyber transport systems specialist, an IT specialist, basically, and sharing those military communications that he was having come across his desk in a Discord chat. He had originally pleaded not guilty to 6 counts of willful retention and transmission of national defense information when he was arrested in April. But today, he is changing his plea. He will change his plea to guilty today. I mean, I don't know how you could still try to go forward with a not guilty plea anyway. So this way here, he'll be able to get a little bit more of a lenient sentence, but I don't know what the leniency will be for something like this. This is almost worse than trying to be a whistleblower. At least a whistleblower has a purpose to what they're doing, and they think that they're doing the right thing. This is just stupidity. This is just, bruh, wait till you see what I can show you, bruh. That's what this is. He probably got his butt handed to him in Call of Duty. He's like, but I'm actually in the military. And they're like, yeah, sure you are. Sure you are, bro. And he was like, oh, yeah, you want to see? I'll show you. I mean, there was talk about how in that group there were some pro-Russian sentiments, anti-Ukrainian sentiments, but it sounds like, and again, I haven't seen everything that was said in that group, but it sounds like it was just dumb, doofus, meathead gamer talk. And you can't go forward with a not guilty plea. Nobody's going to buy that. They've got too much against you. So it's smart for him to plead guilty and see how that shakes out. So that's going to happen today. He's going to change that plea. We'll see if that helps him out at all. Then another story. This comes from Popular Mechanics. It actually comes from WCVB via Popular Mechanics. But there's a new spider that you have to worry about here in the United States. It's actually been around for about 10 or 11 years so far, but it's starting to crawl its way up the eastern seaboard. The native East Asian Joro spider. I'm assuming that that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Joro, but the last O is capital with a line over it. So they've been moving northward from the southeastern, like the Florida region up north into Georgia. But these things can travel, and they're not disheartened by the northeast climate. So they could be making their way up here eventually. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, they can grow to be 3 inches across, which 3 inches across is probably, close to the length of your finger. Pick a finger, but one of them is probably about 3 inches. Maybe your pinky, maybe your ring. Depends on how big your hand is. And it can build orbed webs that stretch more than 6 feet. Oh, and you know what? They don't mind living in the city either. And these things are moving their way northward. And they'll go anywhere. And the baby spiders can travel up to 100 miles from where they were born. They're yellow and a blackish blue. And they look nasty, but they're probably not too much of a problem for human beings. Their fangs likely can't puncture human skin. Although, I mean, who's trying that out? Here, spider, see if you can bite me. But the biggest part that makes it think that they're not a danger to humans is, you know how when you see a spider and the spider and his million gross little eyes see you, the spider kind of freezes for a couple seconds and then it'll run away or try to run away? Apparently, when these Joro spiders freeze like that, they freeze for an hour. So you're going to be able to get it. Whether you're the kind of person that takes off your shoe and whacks the spider, or whether you're the kind of person that gets a cup and scoops him up and takes him outside and lets him go out in the bushes. Once this guy freezes up, he's probably going to stay frozen. So have your way with him, whatever you want to do. Granted, we're probably a long way before we see them up here, but you never know. And you know how they get here? They get here by being shipped up here. They don't just have to crawl their way up here. They get shipped up here. It was a real concern when I worked in food service, when you checked over the fruits and vegetables that would come in, that you were careful that there weren't any spiders in them. Because you would get black widow spiders that would be crawling into the produce and would make their way up here. And they're around. Don't think they're not. A friend of mine found one in her house in Westport. So you've got to be careful what comes in on stuff that gets shipped here. And then that's how they end up sticking around. But eventually they'll work their way up northward. But it's taken 10 years for them to get from, Florida to Georgia, so might get some time. 508-996-0500 if that didn't make you feel like there's something crawling on you. We got to take a break. We'll be back in a few moments.
Right through me, don't you understand? Oh, my little girl, all I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary, they can only do harm.
And welcome back in. We are just weeks away from Easter Sunday. Easter is coming up at the end of the month, and Easter is always a special time of year. And what makes it even more special are the delights that come out of the ovens at Sunrise Bakery and Coffee Shop. Sunrise Bakery and Coffee Shop will be taking orders this year, and they're baking all of your favorites. There's natas, those perfect little Portuguese custard cups. Oh, those are my favorite. I love those from Sunrise. They have the best out of anybody, I think, out of any of the ones that I've tried. Lemon cream cake, carrot cake, and pies too. So turn off the oven. Let Sunrise do the baking for you. You can also stop in and pick up outrageous European pastries. You can get sweetbread with 1 to 4 eggs baked inside, or you can get a single with 1 egg, whatever you want. They also have their fresh-made tuna and chicken salad in containers ready to make your sandwiches for the family, plus their delicious caserla. It's pulled rather than chunks to make that perfect, tasty sandwich with Sunrise's Pops and all their other breads baked fresh daily. So check out Sunrise Bakery and Coffee Shop, 506 Bolton Street in New Bedford, and they will be open Easter Sunday from 5 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., but it'll be first come, first served while supplies last. So make your plan now to get there early on Easter Sunday, but you can always get something delicious every day at Sunrise Bakery and Coffee Shop, 506 Bolton Street in New Bedford. So coming up in the next hour, we'll be turning on the light with Jack Spillane. We're going to talk about his column at newbedfordlight.org about the empty buildings in downtown New Bedford. On the heels of the word that the General Services Administration wants to close down the federal building, Mayor Mitchell and the local delegation working to fight to keep that open, but that would just be another empty building. We already know about the Star Store, although there may be some changes with that coming forward. Jack can give us an update on that. And empty storefronts in other buildings. Now, downtown is still very vital. It's still very vibrant. Certainly better than it was, but Jack takes a look at what the future could be if some of these buildings don't get filled up. So we'll talk with him about that. And, of course, we'll take your phone calls, 508-996-0500. And, of course, your app chat messages and open line voicemails on the WBSM app. But here we are talking about the need to bring more business into the city, and we have empty storefronts down there. So what's going on with that? Is it as hard as people claim it is to open a business in New Bedford? Jack asked that question. We'll find out about what he came up with when he comes in and joins us. But I will say this. If you're worried, I saw some folks talking about this online, concerned about Kojo's Toy World, which I keep recommending to people. I have friends that are toy collectors. In fact, I was just talking with one of my friends yesterday who's a toy collector about My Pet Monster. I said, you know who has My Pet Monster? Kojo's Toy World. They're just moving around the corner. They're just moving over to William Street from Purchase Street. So they're literally moving around the corner to a much bigger space. So don't be concerned about that if you're worried. You see them packing up boxes and all that stuff. But how great is downtown New Bedford to have such diversity of shops? Collectible and card shops, toy store, so many great food and drink options. There was a record store, but it moved to Pope's Island. So there's a lot of stuff out there, but there's still places that are looking for tenants as well. I got to take my final break of the hour. We'll be right back. We'll be going into the news in just a few moments because I played too much of that song. So we'll pick it up on the other side, though. Jack is going to join us to turn on the light, I believe, and we'll take more of your phone calls at 508-996-0500. Also want to let you know very quickly about something that's going to be coming up on TV tonight. So you want to make sure, if you are around that or set your DVR, tonight at 7:30 on Chronicle, they're going to be featuring Acushnet River Antiques. So you want to tune in tonight.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.